exactly. Same, only different. I nearly forgot to bloody press record.
Fucking idiot every time. Oh,
I'm Dan Watson.
I'm Paul Sloggett. Welcome to
The Dirt E Podcast, episode 1. Episode 1. This is bit of a different change up here. I mean,
an offshoot.
An offshoot. Yeah, I should have made up a different little banner here, but maybe we should make a little different thumbnail or something like that. That'd be cool. That'd be on trend, wouldn't it? Anyhow, no, he's shaking head. For those audio listeners at home, I'm getting a very disapproving look. Is that up there with unboxings?
And the band Kiss.
Oh, fucking that's a low blow. That's a low blow.
You're welcome. Right, let's get on with it. He's sat in that waiting room.
Yeah. Let's get him in here. Our first guest on the Dirty Podcast. Welcome to the conversation, Mr. David Garlinge, aka The Beard, aka Trampa Top Tech, aka here he is.
How are we doing? We good?
Yeah, bro.
Hello, man. How's it going?
Yeah, man. I'm all good here. Thank you.
Thank you very much for dropping on in and joining us this evening or whatever time of day it is that you're listening.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, thanks for having me, bro. I appreciate it.
Episode 1. We're calling this with the offshoot of the podcast. So we're starting something new, and we've brought in the top boy, the man who solves all my issues and Sloggs' issues and many other people's issues.
Always on the end of the phone. Always on the end of the phone for me, Dave. I wouldn't be riding without you because I'm fucking useless. Mechanically and electrically, I know nothing, and I don't intend to learn anything either.
Oh, hail Dave Garlinge.
One of my mates went up to Pines, like a local wood to Nottinghamshire, saw a guy getting a trampa board out, and he went over, he was like, "Oh, do you know Dave?" And he just looked at him and was like, "Everybody knows Dave." If you ride a trampa, you know who Dave is.
This is it. Once I should have said that one of the AKAs, aka Headless Dave.
Yeah.
But now we're AKA Bodiless Dave at the moment.
Yeah, that's it tonight. That's what Steve calls me. Steve calls me Headless Dave for all the videos. That's because when I first started at Trampa, Ted was like, "Oh, do you mind doing the YouTube?" I was like, "I will, but I really don't want my face on there." I was so camera shy back then.
Oh, well, hey, Eamon managed to bring that out in you there, though. Eh?
Yeah, he's good. He's good, Eamon. We've done some filming with Eamon recently, but I'll talk about that later on.
Fair enough. And I suppose having high-profile photographers around, like, big deal.
Right, that was such a funny video.
It's one of my favourites, if not my favourite.
It really.
I think the only thing that caps it is the 2021 roundup, where the opener is Sloggett going over the cattle grid.
That's one of my top 10 scorpions today, to be honest.
But yeah, oh crikey, we could go into the videos, but that's neither here nor there for the minute. We'll put that on the back burner because they're kind. If you don't know what we're talking about, we apologise right now. Go and watch some of the old Trampa videos and enjoy. There's real pictures.
The raw ones especially. They're really some lifestyle videos of what we used to do.
But yeah. So, as you say there, Dave, you those headless videos were from way back in the day, and we're trying to do something new, but we are stuck in our ways a little bit. It'd be rude not to ask a little bit about your history and our electric mountain boarding, and Trampa found you or you found Trampa. I've known you for a few years now, but the world at large hasn't, how did you come to raise yourself to the echelons of
So yeah, I came from wakeboarding. Wakeboarding was a thing I used to love to do. I used to do it as much as my body would let me do it until it gave up, and then I would have a day rest and then carry on again. And through that, I met my old boss, and I went to work for him because I was unemployed at the time, and I was just wakeboarding as much as I possibly could. Found him; he was looking for somebody, so I went to work with him, the guy that worked with him was one of Ted's best mates. He used to live around the corner from Ted. So through him over the years, I met Ted. And then his friend used to speak highly of me and the work that I'd done there. So when I came to leave that job, I got offered the job by Ted straight away. He wanted me to come. The day that I left, he wanted me to go and start work for him the next day, which was a Friday. I said, "Can I have the weekend off? I'll come to work for you on Monday." And that was basically it. So I knew of Ted for quite a while. I actually bought a trampa board myself. Me and the other guy that worked at the company I was at, we both bought trampa boards off Ted, the exact same board. He gave us a good deal on them at the time with being friends. So I was actually riding. I went out and killed my batteries immediately. I think I probably had 3 rides before the board completely died and I couldn't use it anymore. And that's kind of what stepped me into the electrics, because I basically was in the deep end. I had this board that I couldn't use, so I started to research batteries and stuff like that. And then yeah, like I say, Ted offered me the job. I went to go work for him as customer service, which is, as you know, still my main role at Trampa. That's almost what I do. But my position sort of progressed. There was a guy doing the electrics at Trampa. As soon as he left, I just picked up where he left off, basically. And yeah,
no sort of formal training as such.
No, I literally
field, or
no, I basically taught myself what I knew up to the point of starting at Trampa and then getting hands on with the vest and the vest tool. Just basically, yeah, just going in from there. Really, I mean, I've got a bit of a tech background. I like computers and stuff like that. I've got a very logical mind, so that's kind of tech stuff. It came easy to me. It was easy to understand. There was a lot of carryovers from other bits that I've done in tech that made it easy to understand. And
I'm glad you said you've at least got that, because I was starting to feel so inferior here.
Yeah.
I just learned it.
But like before, when I say I was unemployed, like I was before I started work with the guy before Ted, I was just a window cleaner. I was just cleaning windows, and then he took me on as a printer. I learned all aspects of printing, from like big roll fed presses to wide format printing to sign writing vans, you name it. Because again, it was a small company, so
yeah.
I don't know how many people out there are familiar with small companies, but when you work in a small company, like, you're not a small cog in a big wheel. You are the big wheel, and if you leave stuff for the next day, then it's your problem to come pick back up. So you quickly learn to look after yourself, look after your job, and know that the input that you're putting in is very much valid and very recognised. So you get that fulfilment from it. So it was kind of an easy transition going from that to working for Trampa, because again, it was a small company, and I knew like the more I could sort of help out, I saw there was a gap in the company. There was a lot of people in the company working in Nottingham that were very mechanically minded, very good with the boards, but there wasn't anybody that really knew the tech side of it. Yeah. Obviously, I don't know how much people know about Trampa, but we've got Frank in Germany, we've obviously got Benjamin in Sweden. They're very tech orientated, but we had nothing that translated down into layman's terms in Nottingham, and that's where I was like, okay, well, I can fill that gap. I can relieve some pressure off the bigger brains in the company, and try and bridge that gap between what the Mountainboarders and the real genius techie guys.
That's
and
it.
try and come up with something that's a bit easier to understand for people.
Well, you've certainly done that in spades, Dave. You really have. You really have. I mean, it's got to be said. Bearing in mind that we're essentially embarking with this new dirty thing, it would be lovely to have the likes of Ben and Frank and that on at some point. But I would be so out of my depth.
Yeah. Honestly, like, I'll tell you this story now. We had a meeting with a big YouTuber the other week on an upcoming project. It's nothing to do with Mountainboards. It's something different, but it's something on the best side. And Frank's going on and on about all this tech, and you could tell that this YouTuber really wasn't tech minded at all. And Ted writes a little note and slides it to me across the table. It's like, Frank's too techie. Say something.
I mean, yeah. Once we're out of sort of that base humor level, I have to start getting.
I mean, to be honest, they're both lovely people. Frank's definitely down to earth. So is Benjamin. But when they get on something, they can quickly lose you. They're just on a different plane, I think.
Yeah, I'm just putting it out there, right? I think that we're probably going to be the lower end of the understanding with in terms of all our guests that we potentially have on here.
It's not too bad. It's not too
bad. But I tell you what, we know how to bloody ride the things. We know how to ride them well.
I tried my best when I got to Trampa. I was trying to. It's like you're thrown in at the deep end. I obviously had the wakeboard experience, and then suddenly I'm strapping this board to my feet, and I've got people like Eamon in front of me. Ted, who he is a quick rider.
Ted is no slouch.
And within the first week, I'd come off at nearly 30 miles an hour and shredded my hand. That was the first week of Trampa that I ever spent, and Frank was there. He'd never met me before, so his first time meeting Frank. We go to ride to the pub. I come off, absolutely shred my hand. I just cartwheeled at like 25 miles an hour. Clean it all up, sit down at the table with Frank, and he goes to me, he's like, "So Dave, yeah, so what do you do?" And I was like, I work for you. Like, Ted didn't even let him know.
I'm your hands-on guy. Nice. So yeah, you've like you said, you've gone in there and really excelled with all the tech side of things. I mean, I've had so many different occasions where essentially what are simple things that you can just go, oh, just click this, press that, job done. Yeah. But unless you have that sort of working within that sort of thing. I mean, we're quite obviously unskilled in the Vesk app and the way that works and the differences when you do click on stuff, what those differences make. And some people are very confident and they'll click something and have the confidence to know that they can click back and it will revert it back. But personally, I'm so scared of making a mistake that I can't rectify, or that cannot be rectified, that it's a bit it can be a bit daunting.
You don't want to ruin
and with you guys, that's it. You guys get the hands-on daily with it. I mean,
to be honest, it's a bit of a nature of the beast with the best tool. Like, what you've got to understand, which I don't think a lot of people do with Trampa, is the fact that if you heard of Trampa and you see our riders and the boards, you just think, oh, they're a Mountainboard company. But the Vesk is like, it's so much more than that. And that's the reason why the app is so complicated, because it kind of what Benjamin's done with the app is he's kind of tried to cater for everybody, but that gives the normal user, not just like electric mounted board but e-bikes and all stuff like that. It gives them so many options that it's overwhelming. So really, what our plan is to do in the future, and hopefully coming in the next sort of year or so, is to have all those options for people that need that, but also have a tramper app with a real skinned down version where you can adjust things with a slider, or dead simple, and it will do all the complicated changes in the background for you, and you don't need to worry about it. And you'll just confidently be able to go, okay, I'll move that to there. Oh, I didn't like that. I'll move it back. And then, you're not messing anything up and things like that. And that's basically...
That's a tool for dummies then.
It's not really. It's just like what else is out there with other things.
That's tool for me.
To be honest, bro, it helps me because it's less work for me to do.
Yeah, completely. If you can simplify it for that particular application, and it works in that application, and why not?
It's literally what we need to do. We want a tramper app, and you just have the basic thing. The profiles is nice in the Vest tool, but again, because you've got so many different options, so many different buttons, and everybody has their own vices with it. Nobody picks it up and is confident with it straight away. There's so much information thrown at you immediately as soon as you open the app. To be honest, it is overwhelming, and I can understand that. That's where I was saying, like, where I saw my place in the company, because I knew that I know how simple some people need it to be, and that's no offense to anybody at all, because I understand that not everybody can have like my understanding or like Benjamin's, but I knew I could understand what they're doing, and I knew I can put it in like easy terms for somebody else to understand. And just so people could get their head around it, because once you get your head around it, then it's not so scary. And it's a bit easier to do.
I mean, let's it'd be nice to have Benjamin on here, but
I'm sure he will.
But just give us a brief, if you will, sort of a synopsis of the potential applications that Vest has, because Ben was essentially the inventor of this, isn't there? There are many, as I understand it, there are many ESC. Electronic speed controllers out there now, and there probably has been, for many years, with the likes of radio controlled cars potentially, and that sort of application. What, as I understand it in layman's terms, what Ben has done has made it so that there are innumerable applications for this.
It's basically the software side he developed. What from my understanding, and if anybody listening to this knows the proper story and I'm butchering it, I apologise. But from
we are carrying over that we do not deal in complete facts. We just deal in spurious drunken memories.
Yeah, basically. But from my understanding of what I know, he started with the VESC 4. That was the major project. That was all open source, so anybody could go download the Gerber files, which would allow you to then, you could literally go send those files off to a company that makes PCBs. You could order all the parts, you could build it yourself. It was completely open source. And the reason why he did that is that the other ESCs on the market at the time didn't do what he wanted them to do. So he went and designed one that would do what he wanted it to do, and thus VESC was born. And then Frank found Benjamin. Frank joined up with Trampa. He was a Trampa customer. He had ideas of what he wanted to do with a Mountainboard company in Germany. Ted got talking to him. And then he ended up being a partner in the company, so buying into the company, which is what he is now. And then he went and found Benjamin, and basically, convinced Ted to back him, and thus the VESC 6 was born. Fully trademarked and copyrighted by us, so that wasn't open source, but the software still is. So and the software is the real genius. to be honest, because anybody can make a speed controller, and that's been proven. There's plenty out there on the market. There's, you know, FlipSky, Unity, all the other ones that are out there. But there's one thing in common, and they all use the VES tool to spin up the motors. So it's really, it will take Benjamin a week to design the new PCB. It will take him probably 3 months to write the code to back that up. That's how important the software sort of side is for it. That's where his real genius sort of shines.
What other industries use the VES, like outside of like what we'd know?
You honestly, bro, you name it. You name it, from server pumps to it's endless. It's not just the sporting industry. It's anything with an electrical motor. People are using it. We recently did a project for Gates, a big company, and they want to use the VES as server pumps. We've done stuff for Uber, which is not the Uber that you know, but they have an autonomous fleet. They run their entire test track off VES. We've supported NASA. We've supported MIT. All top universities in America. You name it.
I assume
even US military have bought the VES from us and things like that. So it stretches out as far as you could possibly imagine. It's that diverse.
Yeah. Would you know, if we're using ESCs as for our mountain boards, skateboards, you know, scooters or whatever, cars are using these as well, right?
Not really cars, more your light. So I would say as far as sort of electric motorbikes and things like that. We recently did a project for another company they had a special motor, so we designed a motor for them, and they use a VES. And believe it or not, that's actually used as the power steering in an electric rally car. So it's even in things like that, like, you know, you sort of naming it. It's not just sort of motor control. You can use these things even as amps. You know, Benjamin has a massive speaker in his house, like 3 12-inch subs. It's all powered off just a little VES 6. Like,
are you fucking kidding me?
No, I'm not. That's what I mean. They're unbelievable what you can do with them.
That's the one that's blown me away.
And then when you go, sorry, carry on, bro.
Yeah, sorry, that's the one that's blown me away, using it in the amps and speaker systems. That's completely left field.
Yeah, there's a music firm where you can download and you can use it as an amp. Yeah, and it does crank up. He had his house shake. And we were like, it is powerful. But yeah, I mean, in the sort of like sporting or sort of leisure industry, you know, anything that had or it could potentially have an electric motor or like a combustion motor is now going electric. From paragliders, you know, there's a big boom in electric surfboards, e-foils, things like that. They've all got the VES in them, pretty much. I see it so much because I try and deal with a lot of the VES questions that come into Trampa. That companies start with Chinese ESCs, they blow up on them, and then they come to us. That's usually what happens. You know, there's very few companies that actually find us first. They usually, you know, have to do some research once they've been in the project for a while, and then they come to us. Yeah.
Rah. I mean, it's pretty exciting, really. I gotta say, like, I'm not obviously I just ride the boards, but it is pretty exciting.
I had to go. We went to see Benjamin it was about mid-January. So me, Ted, and a couple of other lads from Trampa went over there. And even though it was mid-January and the lake had frozen over about 3 weeks before, we still went and took the electric surfboard out on the lake. And yeah, that is some fun. I was surprised at how good that actually was, especially for me coming from like wakeboarding background. It was, that was really something special. It had so much power. It was unbelievable that these things are all coming to fruition now from, you know, just a little project because I don't think a lot of people understand that Benjamin has literally only worked solely for us for probably the last sort of 6 months ish, something like that. Before that, he had a 9 to 5, and everything was just in his spare time. He was just doing work for us, but not working for us, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
He worked for a different company in Sweden, and just did the best stuff when he got a chance. So
I mean,
now it should go like.
I mean, with the greatest respect and all, but these guys, and there are plenty of other people around, but that Ben and that they're some of the world's super geeks.
They are.
And they're such a small percentile of people make a difference in this world. And that designing something like that has so many applications, and is enjoyed by so many people now around the world. It's just incredible. It's like it's kind of a I'm not comparing it to the Industrial Revolution or anything, but there were many things that made the Industrial Revolution, and there are many things that are making the modern technological revolution. Things like the internet, they're all, like you say, these small little cogs that shape the world.
It's not a bad analogy, really, because it is transforming. There's even the time that I've worked for Trampa, sort of like, was it 4 years, getting on for 5 years now, maybe 4.5 years. But even I've seen like there's a massive increase in people's projects, because to set up an electric project over a combustion project is infinitely easier. You can almost start a project in the morning and have it running by the end of the day, and it's very hard to do that with a combustion, and you've got to think about fuel and oil and everything like that. You've literally just got to slap a motor to something, put 3-phase put a battery on, and you've got something fun that you can ride at the end of the day. Like we've done it at Trampa.
I'm so glad you're going down this tangent right now. keep going, because there are some crazy shit contraptions up there.
That's what I mean. It's like we've had a bit of time recently to do projects and stuff. But I mean, the other day, like. Ted was out and we had a little idea. I was like, why don't we put this on caster wheels, and we'll have 2 wheels at the back, and we'll have two remotes. It was literally done in 2 hours, and it was up and running from conception to building the thing, Rich welding it, and it all going together. And then at lunchtime we were riding it around the car park, and it's like it's that easy to just imagine something and then have it running.
I think my favorite contraption there is was the you had a few like fairground ride style things, with the steering that you like tank track steering on it. That you could get a real good spin on and stuff like that.
That's what we did with that other thing. But yeah, there's loads, and there's even more now. Richard's been hard at work. He's done a little mini bike, like chopper style. He's just done another like more cruiser sort of trike. Obviously, we've got the drift trikes and things like that. You both had a go on them, haven't you?
Oh yeah. The drift trikes have been tremendous fun. They were one of the highlights of EBIT this year, definitely. If we're there at EBIT, well, we will be there at EBIT, but they'll be extra special next year. Trust me, they've gone to a whole new level now with the new tech that's coming to Trampa. They're ridiculous, almost too powerful, to be honest. It's just dangerous now. Okay, so we've had the new high power vests are available now to buy at Trampa. And you've obviously applied that to the trikes. Now, have you applied it to the go-kart?
No, not that. It is on the smaller go-karts, but I've recently dug out the go-kart to get finished up. I literally did that yesterday. As soon as
well-timed question.
Yeah, I know, because it's been sat dormant for a while, because we had a busy year last year, and we didn't really get time to get onto it. But if anybody's keeping up with the Trampa YouTube videos, the last time you saw the car, it was single motor with a Molly cell battery on it, I believe. Now it's got 2 motors, exactly the same. It has a split axle, so the axle doesn't go straight through on the side. One wheel will rotate, so it turns absolutely on a dime. And then it's got a massive battery to it. We've got a custom screen. We'll do a video on it soon, but it's looking very good. So basically, I had to hook it up with 4 BMSs in it, so it's got 2 in either side. But what that means is that we can hook up 4 chargers to it, and basically it's an 80,000 milliamp hour pack, but we can charge that in an hour and a half. So I'm waiting for this charger to come in. As soon as that comes in, we're going to get down to the track and we're going to test, because we could do some testing and then charge it up and then go and do some more testing with it. So that is coming, but we've got some other bits as well. Like hopefully we're going to be doing our own sort of big motors, and more high powered controllers will be coming out in the region of like 500-600 amp controllers. They're going to be seriously powerful to sort of keep up with other things in the market that's coming out. So we want to put our stamp on there, basically, because we've got all the stuff to back it up with it. There's other companies out there doing this stuff, but they don't have all the other bits that we have at the minute.
Oh, I can't wait to see. I love the new tech, and like I don't know fuck all about it, but I really enjoy it, and it makes me smile when I go like that on the controller in front of it.
Like when you're saying about the drift tracks and stuff like that, that was a really helpful tool for testing and stuff like that, because the new high-powered vest produced so much more power than the older vest, almost double, which is insane because the form factor is still the same. But obviously, you don't want to have cuts and things like that on a board. I mean, I don't know if people out there probably have had like cutouts and stuff like that. It throws you off balance. It's not very nice. It can put you on the deck and you can hurt yourself. So we'll test that with the drift track to begin with, because if we do get a cut, it's nothing more than you might get a shift from one side to the other. It's completely manageable. So basically we started out, we put these on the drift tracks and we just started to tune and crank the amps, and it got to a point where for layman's terms, it's about 15 brake horsepower now between the 2 motors, and these trikes only weigh 30 kilos, so you're talking 500 brake horsepower per ton. So they are no joke anymore. They are completely, when you talk about that number, it's understandable, isn't it?
It makes a little bit more sense because we're familiar with those
motor like this, and you're talking 15 brake horsepower. Well, thing is, since we've done that, obviously a lot of the lads like Eamon, you saw the video, Andy's gone up to the HPs, Nath has as well. I've moved him onto the HPs, and Nath's actually running 160 amps, so it's near on 20 brake horsepower on a board.
I've had a go on
a board that weighs 22 kilos is pushing like 800-900 brake horsepower per ton. That thing is unbelievably quick.
It was ridiculous.
I don't know where we can go from here. Like, where do you go?
You definitely go into wheelies, that's for sure.
Well, there's often been talk, because obviously the vests have an IMU, so they have an accelerometer. They know their place in space. There's no reason why you couldn't write some code in that would just lift the board like that, and then you would just carry on in a wheelie. It would just hold you there based on what the IMU says.
It does the balancing for you.
Yeah. You just stand there still and just go like that, and then you just carry on. It's just sweet. Yeah,
that would be incredible. That'd be that for all those do a kickflips, do a wheelies.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like, all right then, doing.
Yeah, just straight on it. There's all sorts of stuff like that. It's endless. It is absolutely endless. It's what keeps me interested in the job so much. If it was the same old, I would have been bored by now. That's part of like my nature. But there's always a new problem to solve a tramper with a vest and things like that. There's always some question that I've never heard before that I've got to investigate. And you know, I love all stuff like that. That's what keeps me going, really.
That's it. A natural tinkerer.
Yeah,
Pardon?
Oh, crikey! Well, I mean, this is really. I've not really had to ask too many questions here. This is great, Dave. You're smashing through all of the questions that I as they're coming up. I'm like, oh, I was going to ask him about that. Oh, okay.
I was thinking, oh man, I don't know what I'm going to talk about. But I was like, just don't think about it. Just talk.
Yeah, exactly. Smashing it, mate. Yeah. Smashing it. But yeah, so I mean, it feels like I want to ask, what else can we expect from Trampa over the next year or so? But like you're already telling us what these things are going to be, and the future's so exciting.
It's basically going to be improvements on what we've got. Obviously, like we knew we had some issues with the wand and the potentiometers, so we sorted that out. So you've got the magnetos now. As far as I'm aware, not one person has had any issues with that since it's been released. So I'm pretty happy that that's rock solid now. As far as the soul packs goes, they're getting a redesign. The 21700 has already been redesigned. That'll probably be here in the next sort of 6 to 8 weeks. Once we've got the bits in there, but you know, I've already got the prototype built. It's already been tested. It's all signed off, so it's ready to go. As far as sort of vests, not too much. There will be higher power versions of the 75 volt. So if people want to go up to 16S, there'll be a HP version of that. Hopefully, there's going to be a 100 volt version of the Vest 6 as well for people that want to go even higher voltage. And a HP version of that, and then we're looking into doing some upgrades for your like Suron, Talaria, sort of motocross bikes, that kind of thing. We're in a good position to do that, so hopefully that's going to be coming at some point. Maybe summertime, something like that. It might be as soon as that. I don't know how interesting that will be to your audience, but it's the kind of way we're branching out. Like I said, with the motors and the best stuff.
I have to say, it's kind of just like a happy coincidence that for us consumers, at least, that Ted makes these connections a little bit with, and is such a well-connected person that, you know, he's brought together a team in yourself, Ben, and Frank, and that we're just lucky that you guys also make boards. Because you know, it would Trampa would still be going if the boards weren't there. You guys would still be rocking it in this application. So we're just grateful that it's still out.
There'll still be improvements for the boards, really. You know, there's things that I want to improve. I kind of we're talking about like maybe moving the vest to the back of the board, having like a waterproof enclosure for the vest and leave those where they are. I've also looked into some higher quality waterproof rated battery connectors. So you could essentially have a couple of battery boxes, 4 screws, like, you know, that attaches it to the dog bone, lift it straight off, put your new box on, connect it in, so people could have a hot swappable battery. Because it's kind of like what the Surons are doing. You know, you flick a breaker on a Suron, you pull the battery connector out, and you just lift the whole battery out of the bike, and you can slot a new one straight in. So I'm hoping we go down that sort of route with our boards to kind of make battery swapping easier, or at least, you know, if people have got like an 18650 or a lipo, they can easily like swap between them and leave the vest where they are and don't have to mess around with all that kind of cable in the box. It's just going to be one connector that you unplug and do it that way. And, you know, these are the things that I've ordered parts for, and it's just going to be see how we go. Because the other thing is obviously
you got to take your R&D time and figure them out and test it and all that.
The R&D is constant. We're always looking for the next improvement, always looking for the next thing.
Can I make a suggestion?
Oh, here we go.
Yeah. Back on my first board, I ran with lipos, and it had loop keys on it. Now, loop keys are obviously pretty ugly in terms of aesthetics on the board. I get it. But is there a way of potentially making a loop key more aesthetically pleasing? Oh, look, he's got his right there. Is there a way of making a more aesthetically pleasing version? Can we make like a push button stop? You know, like you would have on in a factory or something like that just goes ksh, and sits down.
It's already in the vest. You can already wire it up. It's there if you need it. I understand what a lot of people had issues with the roll to start, and I understand. You know, Stu Ibsen from Chesterfield.
Hey, Mr. Wong.
Yeah, he was heavily involved. I recently had a complaint about him for the roll to start, and I understand it with customers. They pick up the board, they pick it up by the front, they wheel it, and it's on. And if you're not careful, the one can turn on, you can have an accident. So the new vests don't actually have the roll to start, and then I believe you can wire in a emergency shutdown button to like the PPM port, and that will do exactly what you said. You just have to turn it on in software. And
amazing.
Amazing. Obviously, like with you saying the vest is so widespread, a lot of people wanted in an emergency shutdown, or have it. So say like,
well, this is it. If you've got certain applications that are, motorsport applications,
that's it. Yeah,
they all have a brake sport. And I'm thinking from always the competitor in riding. Still, I'm thinking, right, well, how could we make this? Because I've approached, we have approached go-kart places and stuff, and the insurance side of things of getting those in place is always a little bit difficult. And one of the things that has cropped up a number of times has been emergency shut-offs. Is that, do you have one? And I've been like, well, I used to have one, and I've got a power button that does it, but it's that whole completely break the circuit thing, isn't it?
That's literally where it came from. Like some of the applications where the vest was being used, they needed an emergency shutdown to comply. Like with sport regulations or whatever they were using it for. So that's how it came about. But the PPM port is sort of a multifunction port. You can wire in like a latching switch and get it to do quite a lot. Like if you're on the drift tracks and you're using like a twist ADC throttle, then you can wire that switch into then reverse. So you can have reverse on it, or you can have cruise control, and you can wire it into there. You just set it in software what you want it to do, and it'll do that for you. So it's most of the stuff is in there now, and just because of the wide range of applications it's been used in. So obviously for Benjamin to go in and just do a little tweak to the firmware and things like that, it doesn't really take a lot of time for him. It's a quick change, and it will be there in the beta version, and then somebody can go test it, and that's that. It will be there in the released version of the next one.
Nice. I've got one lot. I've got what I have personally. Like I say, we've had a cracking chat here, and I don't want these to particularly go on to some of the sagas like we have with the Mountainboarders. But I have one last question for you, Dave, and that is to do with the wand.
Yeah.
Okay. How do I get it to change from kilometers an hour to mile per hour?
Hold buttons down.
Hold what? Sorry.
Both buttons.
Back, forward, X.
Yeah, up,
Unit
down.
change, now using imperial units. Boom. Cheers, mate.
It tells you the instructions. How are you feeling, Magneto? Anyway, do you like
I love it. I love it. It feels nice.
I like how resistant the throttle is.
Exactly that.
When you go back to holding a potentiometer one, you're like, oh man, how did I ever use this? This feels so like flimsy and weak compared to that. That's no side to side movement and like real good resistance front to back. Like I think it's such a good improvement in that.
You get a lot of good feedback from it. It's you know, obviously you're not. I don't personally utilize cruise control.
No,
it's on there, but I can cruise control it so easily with the thumb. You know, it's just nice. It's just proper nice. And like I say, the Vesk HD HPs that you put in there for me, they're proper good. They're proper good. I will be in touch soon with some little tweaks, I think.
How's your battery as well? Is that all right?
How's me? What? Sorry.
Your battery.
Battery's doing good. Battery's doing good.
Yeah. That's good.
It's all good.
One thing that I have heard from riders with the HP is because you can turn the amps up so much that people are complaining that the battery is not lasting as long at all with it. Which there's some tweaks you can do with that. I'll go through it with you if you do have any issues. But yeah, that's the only worry at the minute. I don't think it's a problem for LiPo users, but I think 18650s and 21700s is pushing it a little bit, depending on what cells you've got. Obviously, we built your pack, so we know that you've got decent cells in there. But you'll be surprised at what some customers put in there. They're really low drain cells, and they're expecting it to, wheelie off the line, and it's just not going to happen. So I'm glad yours is fine.
As in the few rides that I've had, I think I've been out about 3 or 4 times maybe since having it back. I mean, I never get the most range out of it because I can ride like an absolute dickhead. And, but when I did my commute the other day, I was just sort of taking it fairly easy in that, and I think it performed really well, and I don't think I noticed too much of an excessive drain when riding moderately. Do you know what I mean?
I think when you ride moderately, it should be the same. It's like it's kind of like putting souped up parts on your car. Like, you're not going to put your foot down and expect to get good miles per gallon, but if you drive it economically, like you say, on your commute, and you're just tootling, to and from work, then you shouldn't really see much of a difference. It's only when you're thrashing it that you should see a bit more drain than what you used to. So if you're out riding with mates and they've got the older vest, they might be going for 20 miles where you might be down to like 16 or something like that because of how much more power your board is given compared to those.
That's one thing. I mean, I've ridden with quite a lot of electric boarders over the years that I've been riding now, of all various different experience levels and so on and so forth. And one thing, that the non-mountain boarders the non-downhill mountain boarders, I should say, had in common is in terms a little bit of their. There are a few exceptions to this rule. This is a massive generalization that I'm about to make. But tend to attack things a little bit slower and with less momentum than somebody who's more accomplished on a board and more familiar with a mountain board underneath them. And that new high power one will help them massively because it gives so much more torque at low speed.
It does,
and there were certain bits that I went on a ride with, like say, with Pete Tatham and Ant Wilson and Sloggs, and there's a few sections on that that trail, I should say, that they're always really challenging. But I have to say, it just powered through all of those sections and made light work of it.
It does make a big difference. I do understand what you're saying with that. If you're on like an uphill section or even like a technical section, sometimes, you've got to hit it with speed and you've got to be confident with what you're doing. But with the HPs, you don't need that because it will just power over it.
Yeah, I mean, they probably would have made. I got to say, Dave, if we'd have had them a couple of years ago, you'd have probably saved up a fair bit of walking. Make of that what you will, bastard. But no, these will climb mountains definitely.
That's what I mean. It's strange. Like I feel like people are still sleeping on the HPs. I don't think people realize just how much of a difference these things make.
I mean, you're not going to notice. I don't think personally at the moment. I don't play with the settings and adjustments, and you could probably change what I'm about to say quite easily. But I noticed the big difference, like I say, is at bottom end. If you're rolling on from 25 to 30, you're not going to really notice too much difference in the V6 to the high power. So. But you will notice it massively down low, massively.
It's true, even if you're not tuning it. I've had customers that say maybe they've had a vest fail or something like that, and I've had to replace it, but I haven't had the Mark 6 or Mark 5. So I said, okay, well, I'll give you the HPs. And then the feedback from them is like, my God, it was like, this feels like insanely more powerful than it did before. And I know because I've done so many of them that it's not registering at any more power when it does the motor setup, but it's just the feel. I don't know. It just feels more powerful, especially on the lower end. You have actually got a tune on yours, but I mean, even customers that are just going through a normal motor setup and setting it up like bog standard, I'm getting positive reviews back from that. It just I've patted Frank on the back. It was Frank that actually designed this controller. He's doing a lot of controller designs as well, because Benjamin's so focused on the software side. Frank's actually the one laying out these PCBs, and he's got it right with the HPs. Like, big thank you to Frank for that, because I'm very impressed with it. I can't believe how much power these things are producing from such a small package. To be honest, to put it into perspective, we bought a Talaria electric motocross bike similar to the Sura. They're rated for 6,000 watt. That's what it says. From what I read online, the battery won't push more than 5,000 watt. These HPs with a tune on that we're running on the drift trikes are running 6,000 watt per motor. So it's the drift trike, or like what's on Mountainboard at 160 amp, is double the power of an electric motocross bike off the shelf. That's mind blowing.
Yeah.
Right, because this thing weighs like 55, 60 kilos. And your board weighs a third of that and can run the same power. It's mental. Like
smaller wheels. So smaller wheels, we're going to feel that torque immediately as well.
If anybody's out there wanting it, like go buy the upgrade kit. It's 100%. It's a no-brainer. It's an absolute no. You will not regret it. It's like coming off a 2-stroke bike and going to a 450 crosser. You've got all the low end torque exactly where you want it.
Yeah,
it's seriously impressive. I'm still blown away by it now, and we've been dealing with them for the past like 3-4 months.
That's it. I mean, for certainly for what we do mostly, I know you Tramp obviously do sell electric longboards as well. It's not just mountain boards. But for us with the Mountainboard application, if you're free riding on trails and walking paths and or you might be at bike parks and things like that, you're not necessarily going to be using the top end speed like you would be. You were just cruising a road. so it that, like you say, it just highlights it in that particular uses so massively.
To be honest, that sort of use is what you should be using. Like, we used to get customers that obviously have friends with like Lacroix or Cali boards and things like that. For people who are listening and don't know, they're just other sort of electric longboard types that are out there, usually high powered on the same sort of benchmark as a tramper. But these boards don't like to run at top speed. You get a motor and it will spin without any load, and it draws about 3 amps, next to nothing. And that will still overheat within sort of 6 or 7 minutes, because they want to be in that mid ground where you're riding them off road. So you're between the sort of 15 to sort of 20 mile an hour region, and you'll never get overheating issues. The people that get the overheating issues with it go out for rides with the mates that are on faster boards, and they're literally pinned at 30 mile an hour on the streets, which is comfortable to do, but it's like sitting red line at your car the whole time. You know what I mean? It's not it's not the way that they designed to perform. They need to be in the mid range.
Yeah, some variation, a little mechanical sympathy as such.
Yeah, basically. It's not just like it's electric. I'm just it. All the way.
Maybe that tech will come one day though, where it won't make a blind bit of difference.
I think
just go bit.
I think you just have to, with electrical stuff, it's the sort of 80-20%, like with your batteries, like it's always happier in the middle ground. That's why it's always better if you're doing an electrical project to oversight your batteries, oversight your motor, and then run it lower, because you're going to have no issues when you're running close to the edge, which is like a board running at full speed. Then a weak link is going to expose itself. It's always going to happen. It's always going to happen. And these motors are tiny. They're absolutely tiny. So it's spinning at I think about 7,000 RPM they spin at. So it's going to get unhappy after minutes of that.
But you've like you say, we'll take it back a bit towards the end here. Of this, if that's okay, Dave. You guys, you've as we know, been the face of customer service, if you will, for Trampa for a little while now, and obviously know your way around all the tech, as do all the lads at Trampa. But Ted said a little while ago to me that you guys were happy for people to send their boards to you, and you offered a service to be able to help those of the stupid amongst us. I mean, let's be honest, he did say that this costs. They'd need to get in touch for pricing. I don't know anything about that. I've been charged, but I am. Oh, I'm going to stop talking about that sort of thing. But yeah. There is a charge, essentially, guys, for usage of this service, but it is available if you are a complete fucking head fuck like me and Sloggs here and don't know your way around it. Trampa and that, they don't leave you out in the cold, and they always help you out.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought it up, Dan, to be honest. Like, it is something that we will offer. I've offered it to not only UK customers, to international customers. I've had, quite a few American, I've had European customers. They send us the board. People are quite happy to put the board in the hands of the professionals and send it back, and especially if they feel like they've tried to sort a problem, they've got nowhere with it, they have no idea, it's not working through email support or maybe phone support, and they just want us to have a look at it and get our hands on it. You're more than welcome to send the board in. Likewise, if you're a UK customer or even abroad, and you want some time with us at Trampa, book it in, let us know when you're coming. We're more than happy to go over any sort of maintenance tips, any sort of vest tool tips, or anything that you want to know, or anything you're unsure about. Basically, we had a customer that was local to us come in the other day, and he just wanted to know the best way to change his bushings. I mean, it sounds really simple, but so if they don't know, they don't know. And we're, if you buy a Trampa, you're part of the family, and we'll look after you just like that. You know,
I gotta say,
Ain't that the truth?
yeah, if you do ever get the opportunity and your board needs a bit of a service or a tune up, and you want to go trampa, you'll have the best bloody time.
Yeah,
You'll enjoy the visit, and if you get to go on a ride with them as well, it'll be even better.
yeah, more than welcome. Anybody, honestly, like we don't shy away. I think there's a little bit of a stigma out there about, you know, like it's a bit cliquey, the tramper people and things like that, but it's not. It's just, I don't know why that's spread around. We're more than friendly, more than accommodating. All that we ask is you just let us know when you're coming. We're not a walk-in shop.
And there's some decent riding around there as well. The boys know some really good spots to take you to. You won't be disappointed.
Yeah. There's plenty, mate. And summer's coming, and you know, come on down. You know, Ted's always welcome to have customers there. He loves it. He loves to see people enjoying the boards. You know, he loves to see new customers coming in and taking a trial on the boards. That's always available as well. You know, one of our lads will take you out for a tour. You can try any kind of OBD or spur or whatever you're looking at. We've got all the demo boards set up. We'll set you up with your stance and take you out for a 2-hour ride.
Nice. It's cracking. I get up there a couple of times. A few good times a year. I'm overdue. I am overdue.
You are overdue. There's been some improvements on things you need to come and try out.
Well, look, Dave. Sorry, Sloggs. Before I sort of wrap this up, is there anything you've been a little bit quiet there this evening? Is there anything you wanted to add or
yeah,
to question?
I've got a couple of questions to ask.
Yeah, of course.
So, like, it's going to be an electric 10 set sort of business. So it's going to be delving into the electric side of the boards mainly. But just throw your answers out. Who's your favourite electric rider? I want to get that one out there first. Who can control the beast?
Mate, you're really going to do that to
me?
Hey, just own it, Dave. Own it. It's yourself.
It's. I'm not going to say who, but I'm going to give you two people. It's very, very close between Eamon and Sonny for very different reasons.
Okay, right. Next question.
Yeah.
Eamon or Sonny?
Shit bag. What a shit bag.
Oh, I love it. I'm not answering. I'm not giving
you. Dirt or tarmac?
For me, I actually prefer tarmac, to be honest. But I do generally put that down to not having the Mountainboard background, because opposite to that, Sonny hates tarmac. Like, for me, tarmac is, I know it grips. I know where I'm at with the board. When I go into dirt and it's not sliding, I get nervous, and then, you know, I either fuck up or I slow right down. But Sonny's the opposite. He gets nervous on tarmac and he will absolutely fly on dirt because it's what he's used to. So I think it generally comes down to the type of riding that I've been doing over the years and things like that. On a board, it's more been tarmac, like riding with Ted. I mean, you've been through the alleyways and things like that. You know what I'm talking about.
Ted's inner city Nottingham ride.
Yeah, that's it. He loves it, doesn't he? So for me, I think it's a confidence thing. I think if I rode more dirt, I would be more dirt inclined for sure. But I think I need some more time with things like that.
Nice.
Boards or trikes?
I would say boards, though trike is a very close second, to be honest.
I'm surprised at that, seeing as the trikes are so new as a new toy for you.
Yeah, but I'm a boarder at heart. I love my board sports. The only reason why I like trikes, almost just which is because I like racing as well, and the trikes are more like a go-kart. I think you can have some. I mean, you saw it at eBay. You can have some real cracking good races on those with your mates and things like that. And it's like Mario Kart. I put it. It's almost like it's not real. You're just like bobbing along.
It does. It does even the playing field a little bit as well.
Yeah. Well, I do like the trikes for the fact that they're so accessible. You say to a person, "Oh, do you want to strap yourself into this board and go 30 miles an hour?" They're like, "Absolutely not." But they're like, "Well, here's a trike with the same power. Just go and sit on it." Like, yeah, absolutely. I'm going to go do that. So it's you don't get the strange look so much being on a trike, but I like having a board on my feet. To be honest, I like standing sideways.
Best e-board film.
Oh, it's got to be yours, hasn't it? Up in Snowdon.
Oh yeah.
Although I would have gone for the Trampa Wales trip.
Yeah, but nobody asked your fucking opinion, Sloggs.
That's my favourite.
To be honest, I would put the Devon video over the Wales trip. To be honest, I think the Devon was a really good e-boarding video. Just for the fact that it wasn't just Trampa. It was a Trampa's experience of a whole open event, including bar hard boards, obviously loads of revolvers and stuff like that. And I think Eamon captured it really well. I really did enjoy that video. He put the work in while we were all getting pissed. He was up at 5 a.m. with his drone out filming the fog, and I think he did a really good job with that video. I really like that one.
Yeah, it's a decent one. Yeah, like that. And we've been riding there recently, haven't we, Dan?
You've been over there with Beerin, haven't you?
Yeah, it's 30 minutes away from my house.
It's a
bit
cool
further for me, mate.
It's decent, isn't it? Yeah. Right. Ready?
Yeah.
Best electric event you've been to.
Devon was good, but props to Lee Wright and the crew. Paris 2019, that event was really good. I think they did. To say there wasn't really a benchmark for that kind of event at the time, they did a fantastic job with that event. I don't think either of you went to that one.
No, we didn't. I'd love to have raced in them caves.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like the cave, but also like the schoolyard and the track, and it was just a good vibe. It was a good vibe the whole weekend. It was sort of like nobody had any expectations because there wasn't anything to base it off. It was just like Trampa was there, but Meepo and just every even Ernesto from Cali all the way from America, he came over. There was just a plethora of everybody that was into electric boarding. Whether you were street riding, whether you were AT riding, you name it, and it just all got together and just basically just raced as fast as we could race. And we had some absolutely amazing races and just a really good time. And props to Lee Wright, and I think it was Carb UK that put on the event. Fantastic, really. Like it's a shame that it hasn't been replicated since, to be honest, because it was a really good event. Really, really good.
God, I could have been there. Right. Favourite riding spot?
Oh, to be honest, I like the local trails. So there's a place called Burnstone Woods that's local to Trampa. Have you been there?
Yeah. But apparently a lot of trails have disappeared since I was there. Apparently,
they've been rebuilt. They've been rebuilt, so that's why you need to come back up. We've got to go hit Burnstone again. But yeah, for me, that the riding that's there, you've got real techie downhill stuff. It's a real challenge, but the trails aren't too long, so you're not absolutely knackered at the bottom before you're riding back up to the top to pick the next one. And then there's nice chilled rides around the outside as well, with a bit tree roots and stuff like that can take you off guard and things like that. But for me, because I'm not as hardcore as the other riders that are there, I kind of like a good mixed bag of riding, and Burnstone for me yeah, it suits me down to a T. Really, I can enjoy 2 or 3 minutes of harsh downhill, but not be absolutely fucked. Because when we go to some of the other spots, like riding Nant and Cody with Mike Boo in Wales, like I'm absolutely blowing by the time we get to the bottom. Like it really takes it out of me. But with birds stuff like, yeah, I don't get that. So I do like that, but definitely, the spots in Wales are a close second. Like if I could recommend any spot, it would be Nant. I don't know if you boys have ever been there, but my God, that place is something special for boards. Just that, I mean, you saw you mentioned the Wales video, that switch up between Nath and Jolly.
Oh, the Nathan Tom Jolly switch
up. Oh, mate, honestly, that run is just pure bliss.
That's what makes that my favourite e-board film. That switcheroo he does.
Yeah. I said to it was funny. Eamon came to me. It was like, I've got basically the same footage of Jolly and Nathan. I don't know which one to use. I was like, wait, just use them both and just switch between them. And it's like, yeah, it's so simple. I just go do that.
It's an amazing bit of footage. If you haven't seen it, people, go and find it. I think it's the last segment in it on the Wales trip.
Yeah, it's the last. It lasts like sort of 2 or 3 minutes of the video, but that trail is, mate, it's absolute bliss on a mat. Even for somebody that's not as confident with riding, yeah, the switchbacks at the top a little bit challenging, but if you take them slow, you're fine. And then the bottom section is so free flowy.
Yeah,
even if you just come from started an electric board and you're not that confident on things like that, go there. It won't disappoint you, and it leads straight back to the top.
It's like a river just running through the trees, isn't it? It's lovely.
Yeah, honestly, you need to try it. There's a reason why there's so much footage of that trail, because everybody just rides up the fire road, and then that's the first trail at the top, and you come straight back down, all the way back down to the car park, and then back up the fire road again. The lads like Eamon and Nath and Jolly and people like that, they run it like 6 or 7 times. They're like, go fill me in this time, fill me in going down this
Right. Next question. What does the future hold for electric?
What, electric mountainboarding?
Yeah.
Well, to be honest, I don't know. I don't know, to be honest. I think, when I'm hoping that now, all COVID's done with stuff like that, I'm hoping that the events are going to come back. That's one thing I'm missing with just electric board scene, really. I know there was a couple of go-kart events, but everything seems to sort of fall off the bat a little bit, apart from EBIT, which I think EBIT's a fantastic event. And if you haven't been there, get there, this year. It will be an amazing event. But, it's kind of like the Evolve Open. That never happened again. And like Paris was like a one-off. I want to see some more events. I want to see some more meetups and more racing and, more memories, to be honest, with the electric mountainboarding scene. I think as far as the actual boards and the stuff that we're using, I don't think there's that much more improvement we could do. Maybe, a little bit of waterproofing here and there. But I think as far as like trampa goes, I think we're pretty much getting there now. I don't think there's too much more we could possibly do. There may be some small improvements, but yeah, really, it's just the scene. I want the scene to grow. I want more meetups and more events and things like that, because it seemed to be way more before COVID. And I don't know, since COVID, it seems like everybody rides with the little groups, but nobody's putting on like actual sort of meetups or events. And yeah, like you mentioned earlier, I understand with insurance and things like that, it's difficult, but the only way we're going to get easy with insurance is if people start putting on these events, so that the insurance get an idea of what the risk is, and people can get insurance easier. So it's kind of a catch-22 scenario. Eamon and Andy and Matt are kind of paving the way a little bit that with EVIT and having that a recurring event. So hopefully see more stuff like that. Really, that's what I'm hoping for. I mean, you know how fun EVIT is. We always have a good laugh at EVIT. There's plenty of banter in the queues ready for racing. It's just smiles all around, isn't it? All day, all weekend. And I'd love for some more of that.
That's a great answer. I like that. Well, I got one more question. Asking for a friend. What product makes your beard look so luxurious?
Nothing, mate. This is just all me.
Just oil. Just trampa.
I don't oil. What I do is when I put shampoo on my hair, I just rub a little bit in here as well, and that's it.
Oh, I thought you were going to say something about the grease from the spare drives.
Lith molly grease in there.
Yeah, a bit of antifreeze as well going. Oh well, thanks for having me. Anyway,
yeah, man, this has been mega. Thank you very much. We won't take up any more of your precious time because it is precious.
Well, hang on, whoa. We're going to take up loads of your precious time by ringing you repeatedly, asking you to run me through the fucking test. I can only apologise now, but Dan, don't say things that I can't hold.
That's what, it's true. I'm probably going to call you tomorrow and ask you how to turn me thing back into kilometres an hour. Look, mate,
thank you very much.
Yeah, say hello to all the boys in up at HQ.
Happy birthday to Ted. That's coming up soon as well, isn't it?
Yeah, on Thursday, mate. I think we're all going to get the boards out and go for a ride and go for some food and get a little bit messy, I think.
Send him my love.
I will do, Rick. Thank you.
See you all later.
Right, take care, boys.
I suppose we should be saying this is the end of the first ever episode of the Dirty Podcast. Later.
Well, thank you so much. I have really enjoyed it. It's been good chatting with you guys.
Really appreciate it, man. I'll see you soon.
See you
man.
Soon,
take care. See you later.
Way aye, man. That was dead canny as out, that like. Cheers for tuning out to listen. Now, before you go yam, don't forget, if you want to keep getting doing with the Dirty Dot fun, like and subscribe. Get amongst it. Shy Band's getting out.